the platform. Then after I will give you count, then you can start.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir.
So sir, it's 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So we are live to the audience now. We can start the session. Over to you, sir.
So good morning, friends, and welcome to Live Pharma Coalition. This is Arpan Kumar Paul, the storyteller, welcoming you to the world's largest online learning and sharing platform. Well, it is said that if you want to help a person for a day, give him a fish. But if you want to help him for a lifetime, teach him how to catch a fish. And that's exactly what teaching is all about. In a group of terminally ill patients, a question was asked that what has been the greatest regret in their life? Well, the answer was unanimous. They said that it was not for things that they could do, but it was for things that they could not do. And one of them was learning more things, new things. And that's exactly what knowledge sharing can do to all of us. And that is probably the biggest thing that we gain during our lifetime. It is said that knowledge share is knowledge squared, and knowledge management doesn't happen until someone reuses that learning. So please don't be afraid to share what you know, because today you know it as someone had shared it with you. So friends, we can't manage knowledge. In fact, nobody can. But what we can do is to manage the environment in which knowledge can be created, discovered, captured, shared, transferred, validated, distilled, adopted, adapted, and applied. So LPC provides us this wonderful environment to share our knowledge, our learning with others. So let our knowledge not be like a tree, which is always stagnant and stationary. Let it be like a river, which is constantly flowing and touching everyone's lives. So friends, welcome to this wonderful journey of LPC 97. So I will just share LPC, what it has been doing. So welcome once again to Live Pharma Coalition, the world's largest online pharma discussion platform, which is purely dedicated to learning and sharing. It has become India's largest pharma discussion platform because of such wonderful people who have taken a part in this endeavor, with 70 plus pharma companies who have taken part and 180 plus speakers who have been a part of this journey, and more than 20,000 Facebook people reach in this endeavor of Live Pharma Coalition. We have got a strong executive team of 28 members who are spread across the length and breadth of this country and across different companies, across different specialities. So the greatest mega event that is waiting for all of us is the LPC 100 Conclave. Yes, friends, we are just 3 sessions away from touching this milestone of 100, and it is going to be held on the 20th of March in Mumbai. So for any type of collaborations, you are free to contact Mr. Raman, Mr. Yashwant, Mr. ICS, and myself for any type of support. Just a small request to everybody that LPC is not a company which has been funded by huge capital, but it's an online knowledge and experience sharing platform. And we, the executive members who dedicate our time here, is on a pro bono basis. The journey, which was conceptualized by Mr. Raman Marke way back in May 2020, has transformed into this exciting learning and sharing platform, and it has become a movement as far as knowledge sharing has concerned. And therefore, we would request our supporters, our sponsors, and the companies who are taking part in this LPC 100 conclave to be very, very generous as far as loosening their purse strings are concerned, so that we can make this event a grand success, because this is one of the first in the industry that is taking place. We have been ably supported by Imagica Health, who have been our session support partners, and they have in fact been exploring the intersection between design, health technology, and content marketing, because they have a ex-marketeer team of medical graphic designers, streamers, coders, and they serve pharmaceutical for better customer engagement, bringing patient centricity, improving control on the sales team, and increasing the return on investment for various major campaigns. On LPC 97, we have today some wonderful dignitaries as our speakers. First, we have Mr. Vishal Chandra, who is AVP, Venus Pharma, GmbH, Germany. So don't be too concerned with GmbH, because that's a company with limited liability. And as far as Germany is concerned, it is like Gesellschaft mit Bestnacker Haftung, if I am not too good with this German accent. And today he is going to throw light on cross-cultural management skills, enhancing your success in international business. Next, we have Mr. Ajay Singh, who is AGM, Alchem Laboratories, and his topic is going to be access to international business. And Mr. Deepak Chakravarti, well, the name says it all. He's the National Sales Training Manager, Abbott Nutrition. He's a trainer and coach, and today he's going to throw light on leadership challenges in today's scenario. Along with me, I have been ably supported by my co-moderator and panelist in the form of Mr. Rahil Shah and Satmant Kaur Manku ma'am. Friends, so please block your dates for Life Pharma Coalition LPC 100, the 20th of March 2022 celebration at Mumbai. And thank you so much, Life Pharma Coalition LPC 96, which was last week on global leadership, which had a fabulous Facebook page and YouTube audience and viewers. So coming back to our LPC 97, first of all, I would like to request Satwant Kaur Manku ma'am to give a 1-minute introduction of herself. Over to you, ma'am.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having me on this LPC 97 once again as a moderator and panelist. Thank you so much for the regular viewing of LPC every week. Today, I'm excited and nervous at the same time to have on the panel Mr. Deepak Chakravarti, Vishal Chandra, and Ajay Singh, along with Rahil and Arpan. Thank you so much. I am Satwant Kaur Manku. I am in the industry now for almost 32 years. I'm into the 33rd year right now. And I've worked in the companies like Protec, a division of Cipla, Solus Renvaxi, Universal Medicare, and Zydus Cadila. I am currently have my own as well as I have my own agency by the name Vivid Management Services. We cater to both domestic and the international markets in brand management, training, learning and development programs, as well as the recruitment programs. And also, I am a visiting faculty to the Nasimunji, as Arpan has said earlier in his talk, that learning and sharing, when you learn and you share, so your learning also becomes more. So that's the whole idea about being associated with Nasimunji and also on the LPC program. And I'm looking forward to the 100th episode that will take place. So request is everyone to come forward and attend it on a big scale and make it a big success. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to this session today.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for this wonderful introduction. Yes, next I'll come over to Rahil Shah, sir, for a brief introduction of himself. Sir, you're on mute.
Yeah, good morning, Arpan, and thanks, and good morning to all of you, all LPC members and speakers. Thanks again for inviting me on this wide Live Pharma Coalition. A brief introduction about me. I'm Rahil, started my career like any other professional in pharmaceuticals in sales as a medical representative with Dr. Reddy's, and then I moved into the product management, wherein I worked with companies like Torrent and Cure. And then I moved into the international business. In international business, I worked and spent most of my time with the companies like Alchem Laboratories, where one of the speaker out here, Ajay, was my contemporary and colleague. And then I also spent good time with Hetero also. Currently, I'm looking after the emerging market businesses of the Pinnacle Life Sciences, which is a part of Aarti Drugs and Companies. For LPC, I also, like Mantu, I am also a bit nervous now because like a cricketer, we have reached to 97 and we are about to complete 100 mark. So we are all into that core committee and core group of the meeting. So we are also looking forward to complete that 100 mark, 100 LPC episode mark by 20th March. So I'm welcoming as well as at the same time seeking all good participation from all the colleagues and the industry members. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rahil sir. Yes, definitely. डर सबको लगता है, गला सभी का सूखता है, पर ये कहावत है कि डर के आगे जीत है. So that is why we have to conquer the fear that's within us, and that's what is going to take us to the 100th session of LPC, which is going to be a mega event. Thank you so much, Rahil sir. Next, I'll come over to Ajay Singh sir to give a 1-minute brief what he is going to offer to us today. Sir, over to you.
Thank you, Arpan. Good morning and good morning to each and every one, Deepak sir, Sapan ma'am, Rahil, and all the participants who have logged in. Well, it has been a good opportunity for me to start this session. In fact, that's a privilege I have been given. The topic of today's discussion is access to international business. Whereas I see that most of the participants will have a very keen watch on me to what is going to deliver, because that is what they're going want to see from myself, what is the things they want to do in next 1-2 years or 3 years down the line, whosoever is preparing themselves to international business to enter in that segment, even to the experienced professionals. So that is what segment I'm going to touch today. It will be in a very short note, but yes, of course, it will be quite in the information and very useful to all those professionals and the young graduates, basically. So that's what I will be making and introducing to all the things to you today. Apart from that, do throw your questions to me. Let me try to respond each and every one. Thanks, Sapan. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ajay sir. In fact, we all love surprises, and whatever you want to deliver to us, we are just keeping our fingers crossed and waiting so that you can unfold it before us. Sure. So few moments to go before you start. So thank you so much, Ajay sir. Next, I come over to Vishal sir for a brief introduction of what he has to give us today.
Good morning to all the seniors and colleagues in India and other countries. To share the screen with my own trainer is overwhelming. It's 24 years ago, in February itself, my very first day and my very first training in the pharmaceutical industry was conducted by Deepak Chakravarti sir. Countless college pass outs and youngsters without experience like me will always owe through our career spans to Deepak sir. And he has taught us the purpose of our careers, taking the first baby steps correctly, and the importance of small activities that, if executed correctly, play a major role in our results and successes. Coming to the topic, as we know that India is proudly called as the pharmacy of the world, but how many brands or companies from India have a leadership position in the international market? It's a limited of Indian manufacturers and pharmaceutical products that are able to reach a stage where they get a good recognition in international markets. In my presentation, I would like to give some specific examples of a relatively poor preparation at the time of product launch, a bad negotiation strategy in terms of cross-cultural knowledge and knowing your targeted markets, which has led to failures. And then I will briefly explain the different ways to negotiate with the European, African, Middle Eastern clients in order to achieve better and faster results. And I aim to help the youngsters who want to develop their career into international business and our colleagues facing the similar situations. Thank you.
Fabulous, Vishal sir. Thank you so much for the introduction. Yes, in fact, you spoke so nice about one thing I always encourage, that is the disruptive innovation. Well, then that is technology, the digital technology. And that's exactly what comes to our life as a very small thing and then occupies a major portion of our life. And because of this digital technology, we can all share screen space with such wonderful dignitaries. And I myself feel privileged that this digital technology has been able to bring us all together from different parts of the globe on one platform and sharing our knowledge, learning, and experience. So thank you so much, Vishal sir. Looking forward to your presentation. Next, I'll go over to Deepak sir for a 1-minute brief of what he has to deliver to us, sir. Over to you, sir. Deepak sir, kindly unmute. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a great privilege. And thank you, Vishal, for those very kind words. I think I've been able to play a good role in the upbringing and the career development of many people. And nothing can give me greater satisfaction than seeing such great heroes like Vishal and Ajay and Arpan and Rahil, all and Satwant doing so well in their careers. And even if I've been able to play a small role in your development, in your learning, believe me, it's immense pleasure for me. It's a great pleasure. So my topic today will be on leadership, which is a very vast topic. So those 15 minutes may not be too much. But anyway, as good speakers always try to do, is crystallize your thoughts, our thoughts, and put a few more learnings to your already, repository of knowledge that you already have. Well, 45 years in the pharmaceutical industry. That's been there. Teaching for some time also in the middle. I also taught at International School of Business and Media, which is a business school in Pune. I taught at Symbiosis in Pune. These are well-known institutes. Of course, Narsimonji, Satwant and I have both been associated. And I was also in Mitibai College for some time teaching sales management there. This thing, one of the reasons why I was picked up by Abbott once again was one of my trainees, Rajaram Sankaran, was heading the commercial excellence division there. And when he came to know that I'm teaching, he says, why don't you come and teach our people in Abbott? So Abbott Nutrition was just launching and growing wings. Abbott, of course, was a very big company, but nutrition part was a very small, minuscule business. So that was the responsibility given to me to ramp up the training team, the field force from 60 people to more than 400 people. So within a period of 3 months, back-to-back trainings and so much of activity. And then we made brand building, as Vishal said, is so important. Pediasure became a big brand leader in the segment, and I know how well we contributed towards that. So that's all. I'll be talking on leadership and spanned many companies during my career. And last company was Abbott, where I had a consultancy role. So look forward to talking to each of you. And as Satwan said, throw all the questions. Let's see how well prepared we are. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Yeah, thank you so much, Deepak sir. Yeah, in fact, Rajaram sir has also been gracious enough to be on this platform sometimes back, and we are indeed very privileged to have him on this platform. And as you rightly said, sir, I always believe that an average teacher tells, a good teacher explains, a better teacher demonstrates, but a great teacher always inspires. And that has what been your role, sir. You have been so inspiring to all of us in your training curriculum. So looking forward to hearing lots from you and learning even more during your deliberations. To take this session forward, now I will hand it over to Rahil Shah sir, so that he can give a brief introduction of Ajay sir, and then Ajay sir can start his deliberation. Over to you, Rahil sir.
Yeah, thank you once again, Arpan. To introduce Ajay is like introducing a contemporary in Alchem, where we work together and we were working together as a country manager. Nevertheless, I'll take this as an opportunity to introduce a great personality, Ajay Singh. He's a BSc Physics, and he has done his postgraduate diploma in business management from Regional Engineering College, Allahabad. Ajay has in the pharmaceutical industry more than 2 decades of your experience, and wherein he also started as a medical representative from a company called Solus. From there, he joined Alchem and launched the neuropsychiatric division in Eastern UP, and then moved to Torrent Pharma, where in the psychen, that is the cardiology division of that. And then Ajay rejoined Alchem, and he joined as a country manager for Sri Lanka. He was there in Sri Lanka for 4 years, and then he moved to Vietnam for 6 years. During that, I witnessed that Ajay was very much instrumental in developing the B2C, the direct to consumer, as well as the B2B businesses of Alchem in these 2 countries, that is Sri Lanka and Vietnam. And later on, Ajay has moved to Mumbai office, wherein he has started looking after entire Southeast Asia and APEC region, that is Malaysia, Singapore, Vietnam, Thailand, and Indonesia. And in the broad span of his experience, Ajay has really developed good brands in Alchem and other companies also wherever he has worked for, and he has also developed a robust clientele in various countries of Asia. Ajay believes that there is no alternative to hard work, dedication, and knowledge, and that's why he is, I can say, here to share his learning nectar to all of the entry aspirant into the pharmaceutical industry, or the international students into the pharmaceutical industry, how to enter into the international divisions of the pharmaceutical business. Because I know Ajay little bit as a colleague also, at the personal side, I can say that Ajay is a good sportsman. He spends almost 2 to 3 hours every day with his kids as well as his colleagues in the same country for playing the sports activities. He is also very fond of exploring local food of each country. He's a avid traveler, so he travels a lot and he likes to travel a lot and making friends. And at the same time, he also try to enjoy and explore the local food, and that's his hobby, more of the hobbies, I can say.
Vietnam,
And that's about, yeah. So that's about Ajay.
Vietnam, I believe, is very good. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. So that's about Ajay, and I'm looking forward to hear from Ajay for his topic on access to international business.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Thanks. It has been quite a long intro, seriously. But thank you. Thank you, Mala. What should I say right now? So once again, thanks to you and thanks to entire LPC team to giving me the opportunity to be at this platform, once as a participant and now as in giving an oration over here or giving my thoughts over here. So since what I have mentioned about that, I will be touching to the topic of like access to international business, which is the entry point for most of the people what they are planning it up. So in that case, let me start up my presentation. I hope it's visible to everyone now.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah. I have tried to make it very short, basically, not to take too much of time. But once you go through it, you will feel like a lot of informations in that one. So keeping in that mind, I have taken this subject for my 2 people. First will be the young graduates. Okay. Now, young graduates, maybe from the pharmacy field, maybe from the science field. Let us see who are those who want to target this international business as their career, in fact. And there is the sales professionals. It includes the people from the experience part. So whether it's a sales or it's a marketing, those slides shows are only the sales part, but I consider the sales and marketing both. Okay. So let's see what is there for our young graduates. So our targets to take up the international business for these young graduates is the basic requirement, what the company sees basically. Because if it's an direct entry from the campuses, the graduate plus MBA is the preferences basically. Otherwise, what happens up in the pharmacy and the science basic graduation, if someone enters, there is a multiple folds of the departments where things are taken up in terms of the entry levels. But here I'm looking at it, the graduate plus MBA, first thing. Second thing, they come through a campus recruitments, whether it's in the Feb to March kind of a pattern or whichever month is there. But that is the criteria where most of the people are selected, the young graduate parts from the colleges like Nasimunji to all pharmacy where the MBAs are, the other MBA colleges are there, in fact, from two to name of them. And they join as a management training. Generally, it's a duration of 1 year. Generally, they given up the entire the training program, which is scheduled up, which I will describe it in like a one. They are given to exposure. Why I'm taking up as an PMT and sales? Because most of the graduates who are there with the management graduates, they want to enter into the sales part. Okay, maybe in a marketing one. So here my target is to enter in, to lead them into a kind of an exercise where they can understand where and how they can enter into international business in respective of heading a division or heading a company, heading a subsidiary. So that's a long process to run on that one. So that PMT and sales, of course, like 2 to 3 months, which happens to the project management training department. They attach to the marketing team. They learn the branding part, how to design the strategies, how to design the product portfolios, how to take up the IMS or IQVIA now a lot to discuss upon, how to tabulate prescriptions, linking with the MIS team. So there's a lot of work which happens up with the PMT team, in fact. Sales, of course, yes, once they enter into that part, they are given an opportunity to go into the field, understand the ground realities, what does happen up to a medical representative or the area managers, or basically the line functions which happens up in the sales, in fact. So that's how they are given the exposure of the PMT and the sales in first 5 to 6 months down the line. Now, here the question may be coming across, I'm pretty sure about that. Why MBA will only go to PMT and sales, only the sales part, basically. There are multi-facets like the finance is there, or people enter into the other segments like supply chain. A lot of things are there that I will touch it upon because that is one of the key criteria. But here I will try to touch it basically how somebody wants to head a division. So what are the criteria which are taken up into the management training program? So balance of 6 a month, generally in those 3 to 4 months are given on the research and development, which is utmost requirement for any of the graduates or the management graduates who are coming to head as a division of a company itself. So they are given the exposure of the regulatory, which is very much requirement for any country specific operations, because you have to understand the local rules and regulations. Without that, you cannot drive yourself into the product portfolio development. Otherwise, it will be just because if you are heading a division, it has to be understood not only the sales part, how you can build up the products basically into your country, which are running in the best way, where we have the least market or the least number of competitors are there. So those things has to be understood on that part. So it's basically like the clubbing the importance of the regulatory and the market feedback. So yes, of course, R&D has different verticals of it, whether it's an DRA, we call it regulatory, or it's an ADL department, which goes to the complete product development, or the FND, or the CQA, or even the CRO, or even to the IP factor. So IP is like, it's like intro part 3, 4 to 5 days itself, or CRO also the same pattern. Primarily, it's all on the regulatory, which is more important for a person to concentrate in terms of understanding the knowledge to a specific country itself. It may be like any geographies of the world where they want to go. So that training program lies in terms of specific to those countries itself. And another is basically they are given the exposure of manufacturing also, because these are the not the direct stakeholders, but suppose they need to understand the processes through which these products comes. So day after tomorrow, if they want to touch base any kind of product launch, they are involved into the not the manufacturing processes, but yes, of course, they are linked to understand the criticalities of the production, so that the launch plan and the pipelining of the products are also kept into the considerations. That is the one. Another is basically the cross-functional departments. These are all supply chain is there, or distributions are there, or purchase is there, finance. Because once you are heading a company or subsidiary or a marketing or a division or a BU head, somewhere you have to link up yourself to these sort of departments also. Because what happens, whether it's a supply chain, you have to be in direct link with these department too. Distribution, yes, of course, not a very great one, because you have your own verticals of teams where they will handle it up, but you need to understand that. Purchase to take up the costing part, which is very much important, because you have to profitable at the end of the year from the top to bottom line, in fact. So that is very much important for the head of a division. Finance, very much required, as you very well know, because end of the day, it interlinks everything. And then HR, of course, once you have a big team, which you are taking up, taking care of that into your country, it plays a very important role. So intro to those teams and understanding the criticalities of that particular country's HR issues are also important. So that's how the international business goes in terms of understanding of processes, basically, in terms of 1 year of duration. But what does it help in terms of after completing this 1 year? Okay, so what I perceive it in terms of that, you take up the division as a business development guy. You head for a business development division in international one. You're giving an opportunity in that one. You may enter into project management, but project management is still lies like after 2 or 3 years of your extensive work in head office or in the country specific where you are placed. You are given opportunity to develop yourself and then enter into the PMO part. But of course, once these entire 1 year is spent, you can move ahead into a business development team. Another things are there. You are there for the marketing because you have a good exposure of like 3 to 4 months into the PMT basically. And obviously you have supply chain, manufacturing and purchase, finance and HR. I'm keeping as a one. There is an opportunity, but how does it go? I will tell you later on once I complete the overseas operations, because in overseas, there are many of the companies who have their full-fledged operations, means from the manufacturing to the entire warehousing. It's like all operations are from top to end. So there is a role of each and every department, every individual, not only from sales, from the finance controller to the CQA, to the manufacturing, to the supply chain, everyone is involved. So it's like a mix. It's like a mix. Once you operate, once you want to enter into any country, and which country and which company, that's important on that. But these are the facets where international business exposure can be taken up in the multiple departments, in fact. So that's how it goes for the young graduates, because that's for them is kind of an open platform. It's a multiple thing they can go across. As far as the experienced people are concerned, the sales managers or the people who are in the sales and the PMT, I take it that their recruitments are generally done through internal transfers and the referrals, because that is what the utmost criteria which has been seen across into the international business recruitment process. And by and large, these experienced professionals, in my all experience, I have seen these are the number of years with respect to the designations which are taken into account, where their expertise, their experience, their team management, their handling of the value and the volume of the businesses, what brands they have taken up matters a lot once we take up the positions at the, whether it's in different verticals of the businesses basically. So once we select a country manager, yes, of course, country manager is like heading a complete operations basically. So there are in the BU heads. So BU heads is like separated one division where like 4, 5, 6 products are given to one vertical head. In that process, yes, of course, the training program, what is kept over there for that set of individuals is basically intro to the immediate to the country and team, so that they get started acquainted to the environment itself in which they want to enter in. And of course, at the HO level or the training part, it's in the beginning days, introduction to PMT. And once again, the role of DRA comes up in a very big way to these set of new country managers recruits which are taken, because they have to once again understand the criticalities of the local rules and regulation in terms of the product registrations. And of course, supply chain important because that is the one direct department to them where they have to ensure the supplies of their registered products or the commercials specifically. So as soon as these 1.5 months are spent, these cross-functional departments are also, once again, they have to go across what I just explained to even the freshers part, the management graduates too. So basically it's common, but it depends on the time period of each individual who is coming from, whether it's an experienced one, whether it's a young professional, a young graduate. Yes, of course, with the country head and BU head, these are the patterns what we have been watching across. Finally, is the product manager and marketing manager. If somebody wants to be placed into the specific country, it's very straightforward. Once again, that's internal reference or the internal transfers or the referrals, basically. Those they enter into, and by and large, they are just once again recruited. They are entering into the PMTs and the understanding with the L&D departments and the MIS and the purchase department because of their work profile and the contacts to be done in terms of the deliverables, what they have to give us. So that's how it goes in terms of these two specialties in terms of the young graduates and the professionals, what we look after in terms of approaching to an international business. So and sometimes they are given the opportunities to enter into the involvement into sales. So good luck to all of you who are aspiring to enter into the international business. I said it will be quite a short one, quite informative in terms of what we have to do. That is more important. And if you have any questions, do let me know where we are. We can take it up and then answer all those queries. Yes, Rahil.
Yeah, thank you, Ajay. Thanks for this presentation. It was a very crisp but direct presentation on how a student or a management trainee can look at the career into the international business. Yeah. One summary point I can say from your third slide, which is for the entry level management trainees, is one day when the person enters as a management trainee into the international business, one day he is as a career path, he can always look at the as a career of being the CEO of the particular area or the geography or particular country, you can say. Right. And for that, a 360-degree knowledge of the entire pharmaceutical gamut or the area is always necessary. That is production, marketing, of course, sales, finance, very important, HR, purchase, supply chain, as well as human resource. So because he's one day, that particular management trainee is always looked upon to be a CEO of that particular area or that particular region. He has he or she is required to have all these knowledges at the start of his induction into the international business. So my question on this particular slide, Ajay, is what kind of an aptitude interviewer or a head of the department will look in the person while taking him or her into the international business? What kind of aptitude, what kind of the basic skills a person interviewed for international business will be looking forward for?
Rahil, see, what I believe is basically when we take the interviews, I believe the companies are made by the people and processes. The first and foremost thing is the two utmost important. So when the person comes, he or she should be having a very open-mindedness, what I personally believe it. And that the adaptability, because once we are entering into international business and interlinking with meeting up with a new culture, new people itself, you have your adaptability has to be quite fast and quite conducive to the local environment. Okay. So that has the two important things what we see, and the rest is like be truthful to you. That is the most important one. What I look at it. If you are true to yourself, you are self-driven. Nobody can stop you to even enter, whether you want to enter as an operations head, whether you want to enter into a manufacturing head. So I see like it's like open to ideas, good adaptability, and let be a self-driven person. Basically, that's what I see as a three individual. There may be like a lot of multifaceted criteria many of the people they see, but for me it is three more important one I perceive for international business.
I think Ajay, you rightly said, and uh, I do agree. Being an international professional, that one aptitude an interviewer should always look at in the particular individual, he or she, is adaptability. Because in his journey into the international business, he's going to look. He is going to adapt a lot of things, and adaptability will lead you towards adapt, ADEPT, and then he has to adopt the entire culture of that particular area. So that is how I always look at. The second question from your this slide, if you can allow me to ask, is why a person is put into the various cross-functional department during his journey towards the international business, and how that will play an important role in his journey towards the international business.
See, Rahel, if you're heading a department, it doesn't mean that you're going to only handle the sales, or you're going to have a team management. As I said, you have to be in touch with the supply chain people. You have to know the people who are in the manufacturing. You have to know with the regulatory heads, or the regulatory department. You have to know people from the HR. So it's like, once again, to know each and every functions of heading a company. So it's very utmost important to get the intro, whether it's in short while for like 5 days, 6 days, 7 days of it. It depends. It's all that depends on the training program. I think on that, I believe Vishal and Mr. Deepak will be taking more into details of it, because that is what is very much important in terms of, once again, the importance of understanding the cross-functional departments, whether it's on culture-wise or whether it's on the importance-wise.
Okay. Correct. Very well said, Ajay. And my next question will be on your next slide, mainly for the people who are already having an experience. So my question to you on the next slide, for the people who are already having a sales experience, why there are people who are always expected from the domestic strong sales background into the international business. And the one more question related to this is, why internal recommendation or reference are preferred in that selection?
See, Rahil, what happens up when any sales head, because what we are talking about here is the country managers or the BU heads. So it's like, yeah, so it's like they have to be on board as soon as possible. It's a replacement. It's not a new joinee for a training. So if you're replacing anybody, the person has to be ready-made with many of the things, whether it's in team management exercises, whether he has been doing a good brand management, or he has been doing a good brand sales. So whatever the factors are there, it has to be ready-made. It's a short time span. That's why you see it's like one month to 1.5 months, or max 2 weeks under for the other departments to get in touch. It's like within 2-3 months, the person has to be on board at that place itself. So keeping that particular thing in mind, the internal transfers, because you know the person, you know the individual from where it has been or she has been taken up. Referrals, yes, of course, if the internal transfers or internal postings are not fully taken up, the referrals comes up from the outside. From the person coming from outside, if you know the background from where he or she is coming, and what kind of the skills, what kind of quality, what kind of expertise, what kind of experience they are bringing up along with them into the new place, that matters a lot. That's why the referrals and the internal transfers are preferred versus the any kind of new recruitments or the young professional recruitments will be there. So it's like, know the person before you put him into the boat, actually.
Correct. I can put it like that since you are looking forward for a immediate replacement always for the overseas placement, you always look for a tried and tested team player than trying for somebody newer, and that is where you are referring to, that yes, you are always looking forward for a team player who can join immediately, who has a strong internal background or maybe a strong referral.
Very true.
Allow me to also ask one more question, because you, I, and many others have worked as a country manager. When we join as a country manager, it always looked as a country manager posting is always looked by others as a a job which is which is with I must say some added with the glamour, or because it is a paid with high, it is highly paid, it has been looked as, rather I can say it is perceived as a highly paid job with all the added benefits like the house and the car and the fees and whatnot. My question to you is, how good or bad, or how tough or a glamour this country manager's posting or a country manager's job is?
You have seen horses put the flap over here. So be concentrated. Don't deviate yourself here and there.
They're called blinkers. Yeah.
Exactly, sir. Exactly. So
Correct.
jokes apart, but yes, of course, what Rahil has mentioned about, sometimes it happens up. There are a lot of glamour involved in that because you enter into a new country, a new culture, new things, a lot of new environment, you get it. So, but you are there for many other important thing actually. That is to develop yourself as well as develop the company. For that, you have been placed over there. And once you are there with family, which is the utmost important thing, once you go, because your family has to adjust into those new environment. So if you're not able to keep them happy, nothing will happen. So that glamour part is seen in that fashion. So let it be there. But that is what attract the people to come into the business, to international business, sorry. And it helps in the quality of life in the outside of India. Depends on country to country where you are placed over there. I hope I have answered your question, right?
Yeah. You answered my question, and I also can summarize it. It has been seen as a glamour when you are flying from your home country to that particular country. But once you are on the ground on that country, then you are grounded, I can say, and that all glamour and everything goes away, and you are then of your own to drive that country as an entrepreneur or as a CEO of that country.
Yeah.
Very well said, Arpan, and that's all from my side, Arpan, and you may take it further from here, please.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rahil sir. That was a wonderful deliberation from Ajay sir. So if you can just stop your screen sharing, sir, we can once again all be on the screen. Yeah, thank you so much, sir. And I think, Ajay sir, a lot of audiences have gained the insight from your presentations, and there have been a lot of appreciations that have been constantly flowing across on the social media, which we will take up during the course of the session. So thank you so much, Ajay sir. Our next speaker is Vishal Sir, and it gives me immense pleasure to welcome him to this session and give a brief introduction of him as well. So Vishal Sir is currently the Associate Vice President at Venus Pharma GmbH Germany 2017 onwards. Well, he is a MBA in International Business from Steinbach University, Germany. And his previous tenures were in organizations like the Tulip Lab, MacLeod's, and Ranbaxy Solus. He has under his belt about 24 years of pharma experience and has enjoyed a progressive career from grassroots level, because he started off as a medical rep and has different management roles spreading across the Indian domestic market, the rest of the world markets, and gradually to the regulated markets of Europe. Well, by nature, he is multilingual and he can speak fluently in German, Russian, and of course, English, Hindi, and Punjabi. So besides progressing in core areas like international business development, market access, profit and loss management, Mr. Vishal has been an avid learner and believes in constantly upgrading his own skills and that of his team members. Well, a lot of accolades have been bestowed on him because of his successful market entry into the CIS and EMEA regions and achieving segment leadership for a couple of products in the geographies under his control during his assignments he had undertaken there. Well, we can all browse the internet for his LinkedIn profile for more information on his journey in this pharma industry, and post on cross-cultural management, corporate and team development. So his primary objective is to remain competitive and in the highly pro-digital transformation of teams as well as the organization. Today, Vishal Sir is going to speak on the effective use of cross-cultural management skills and facilitate effective communication with international collaborators and avoid the common mistakes due to the lack of knowledge of the local culture that often lead to loss of revenues and poor brand recognition. So that's about Vishal Sir. So we welcome you, sir, on LPC, and looking forward to an excellent presentation from you, sir. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Arpanji. Good morning once again to all my colleagues and peers. Arpan sir, I'll take 2 extra minutes because you have spoken a lot on me. So my time gets extended by 2 more minutes. So I was listening to Ajay, and listening to Ajay's presentation, it brought me uh, back to my career journey, and I could always correlate. Yes, these are the cross-functional, skills and exposure that you require to move in your hierarchy up in the international business. So thank you so much, Ajay, in bringing up the slides, and it really made me go through my own career journey. So I could always correlate with it. I would love to take it to the next level, and how adding something from the cross management perspective would really impact your career prospects and success rates in your own assignments. Let me add to the presentation. Arpanji, can I, is my presentation visible?
Yes.
Yes, just put it on the slide share. Yes, fabulous.
Great. Friends, we have been talking about scaling our businesses to a global level. Every company in India, now, which has already been working for a couple of years, we talk about moving to international business and showing our skills in the international business environment. But it definitely takes few more important steps other than just having the GMP certificates and manufacturing capabilities. Not many of us think on how to gain trust of our local partners by understanding their culture, their style of negotiation, and attempt to push them with our own style of communication, the product design, and that results to failed discussions and poor sales performances after a product launch is already done. The first part of my presentation will highlight how lack of cultural knowledge led to loss of huge investments after entering new markets. And the second part will highlight the key difference between the European, Middle Eastern, and African clients, which, if taken care by the business leaders, can lead to better results. So straight to giving some examples, and I like to start with the example of Walmart. Friends, we all know that Walmart is a very big multinational into retail business. It comes from America, and couple of years ago, Walmart was launched in Germany, and it has miserably failed to such a level that failure of Walmart is mentioned in Germany is mentioned as a case study. So perhaps the American culture, it did not match with the German style of working, and it led to poor results. I'll give examples. What did they do wrong during their launch process? So Germans, they don't like, or they aren't very used to very friendly, extremely friendly customer service. And what Walmart did, they used to have a person to greet every new customer at the entrance gate, and then every employee was supposed to give a smile to each customer. It was extremely unsettling for the Germans to see such level of uh, um, courtesy. And some male shoppers thought that the female employees are flirting with them. So such a level of courtesy was not accepted. Then we talk about team spirit. It's always been seen as a part of American Walmart stores, with team members doing a morning chant to motivate everyone for the rest of day, like "Hey Mokambo" thing in the morning. So chanting in Germany is best suited to football matches and nowhere else. And there were reports of the employees hiding in the toilets in the morning in horror to avoid the morning chats done at Walmart. One more example is mentioned that you can see that even the high-end German grocery stores, the German shoppers like to bag their groceries, put everything themselves in the bags that they carry, and no one wants somebody else to touch the groceries after they have already paid. But the Walmart people were supposed to put to assist their uh, clients, and they were just pushing them to put the groceries in their bag, which was not acceptable to the German people. So these are few examples, other than many, why Walmart was not accepted as a local company. Second example, I would love to give you uh, the fast food giant McDonald's and how McDonald's lost to the KFC in Chinese market. The big reason for KFC's success is that it adapted to local culture, while McDonald's initially refused to cater to the taste of Chinese customers. McDonald's had a great success with its line of American-style burgers when it expanded to Japan and other South Asian countries. And they stubbornly decided to roll the same line of product that worked in the nearby countries. Now, China as a country was already cut off from the rest of the world for so long that the American-style burger seems too strange to the Chinese people. KFC, in the meanwhile, had the advantage of offering the fried chicken, which is similar food to the people in China, and they took active steps to localize their menus for the Chinese market. And the widely successful breakfast menu, uh, featuring foods like congee, it's a testament to their localization efforts. So they localized and make a Chinese feel of their menu, and till date, KFC has got a better market share compared to McDonald's in Chinese market. Now the question comes, why many of the pharmaceutical brands from India have not reached to a recognition stage in the international markets? Why? The answer is yes, we are known as a pharmacy of the world, but most of the Indian companies are competing in B2B playground, and most of us want to sell, but only a handful of our companies from India, they want to deploy their own marketing and sales team. Before launching in the market with our poor researchers, and do not go to the local level of research before deciding the product compositions, packing styles, their brand names. The new breed of pharmaceutical marketers from India, you know, I call them as new generation horses, which are very strong as mule, but twice as stubborn. You know, we have stereotyped Indian promotion strategies without the local flavor and reluctant to plan to the next level, but always having a last minute rush. The problem is that because the companies they want to enter into international business, they have some sort of success stories in the domestic Indian market. And then we say that we know all, and we keep on praising our Indian laurels and force it to the local culture, the value systems, and communication style of each of the market, and miserably fail there. Now, few very good examples of failures from most of the companies, which launched into the international market without doing the correct market study. So I am seeing that Deepak sir is observing the slide. Deepak sir, this example, this Novartis, This is a company with surgical blades exporting to the Islamic countries of Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Iran, the Central Asian markets. They were doing fairly well, and one of the distributors, he got a contact from the Arabic market of Qatar. He told, friends, I have a big government tender, and you can supply me the ready stock that you have, and I'll ensure that the tender is won, and we all do good business. And they sent the entire lot, which was manufactured in India, and sent to the Qatari market, and not a single pack of the product was sold. The name was Novartis, and it read, sharp carbon scalpel, and fits all handles. Everything looked fantastic. And the reason for failure is surprising. Reason is tease. This is a Urdu word, tez, as we can correlate. Tez means sharp. And the Persian language, the Central Asian language, it resembles Urdu. But the word tees in Arabic, it means hips. So, no tees. As a result, it's considered as an insult. It's a slang in Arabic word language, and none of the Arabic markets accepted the product at all. So, no flaws at the brand level, but not connecting and not doing the homework proved very costly to the company.
Exactly. Insensitivity to the local culture. Yeah, local
Absolutely.
language. I know.
Exactly. Second example, this I have already shared with many of my colleagues before, now to the group. Maxical. This is a product that was supposed to be launched in CIS markets but didn't do well. And it was some calcium molecule which offers better bioavailability. And the first line was that this brand offers the maximum. So it correlates with the brand name Maxical. So the manufacturing company, it just pushed its marketing and sales team to do whatsoever to launch this product in the CIS Russian speaking markets, all in the name of existing infrastructure, blindfolded completely. The regulations in the export market require to have the brand name registrations. There are IP rights, there are manufacturing licenses, the GMP documents, registration in other countries, and the company was already selling in other markets. So they just forced the team to launch the product in Russian speaking countries as well. And they didn't listen anything that, yes, we have sold the product in other markets, CIS is the next one. And the result, shit happens. Maxi is max. Cal, C-A-L in English is translated as K-A-L in Russian language. And Cal means shit, feces. So Maxical, maximum shit. Okay.
Amazing. What mistakes people can make.
Absolutely. So, the team was pushed by their head office colleagues, the management. Please do whatever we are saying. We are already, having the manufacturing license. We don't want to change the GMP documents. We already are selling this product. And they achieved maximum shit. Now, few good examples of non-pharma products. There was a company operating in Middle Eastern markets. They had a campaign and started sending gifts to their clients and customer base with one of the logos of their product. It was a 6-cornered star. So, although it was done with a good intention, as soon as the Saudi Arabian clients received the gift packs with the 6-cornered star, they started linking it with Judaism and Israel, and instead of uh, appreciating the compliments, it resulted in a big controversy. During a football match in Germany, a German beer company printed Saudi flag
Sir, आपकी बोर्ड के left and right
on the
में
bottles
light change
and got busted for linking with alcohol. And this is a
Yes.
real story.
Vishal, just a minute,
from-
Vishal. Vishal, just a moment. I think, can I request the Magica Health team to
Hello?
please mute your
Hello.
mics, please? Yes, thank you so much. Yes, Vishal, continue.
Yeah. So there was a sales team which went on a boat ride in Indonesia. So by the time this tour was happening, the team leader realized that they are running out of time, and once or twice he requested, the sailor to come back to the shore as soon as possible. So might be he must have ignored or just taken casually. The fourth or fifth time, the manager of this team he lost his cool and shouted at the sailor. And the moment these people reached the shore, within 10-15 minutes, the entire team was literally chased with daggers
Right.
by the local people. The fact is that publicly humiliating someone in the Indonesian culture is considered unforgivable bad manners. And
Right.
the team did not realize it, but they learned a hard lesson later on. Few examples from pharma industry again. Sri Lanka, there was a brand launched, and after 1.5 years, it resulted in expiry of a huge level of inventory. Uh, the product had 3 or 4 different strengths, and the higher dosage uh, of the product sells lesser than that of the lower dosage strengths in Sri Lanka. The Indian style of tapering the dosage does not work. On the contrary, the Sri Lankan doctors start with a lower dose, even in patients with severe hypertension or severe level of diabetes. And the Indian company, they had the history of selling higher doses more in quantities in the domestic markets and some other markets, and pump uh, higher level of stocks of the higher dosage level. One more example, in India, ACE inhibitor is a very big market, and Ramipur is undoubtedly one of the leader molecules. One of the companies, they forced launch of Ramipur in Sri Lanka, thought of replicating the same Indian style of working, and the market was dominated with angiotensin receptor blockers, and the product just did not pick up because ACE inhibitors are always associated with cough, and cough is a social stigma that is considered in Sri Lanka. And despite being a good molecule, the product and the molecule has not picked up till date. Given an example of Philippines market, uh, we all Indians, we are fond of conducting the CMEs, and it is considered as the best CRM tool to get together with the doctors. But in Philippines, CMEs are considered as a knowledge oriented, a knowledge source, and not alcohol oriented. So most of the companies which go for the first time in these markets try to impress the doctors and make relations, straight away started offering alcoholic drinks and end up with a surprise because the community of doctors doesn't work this way in Philippines. One more example, companies like Unilab, Mercury together have around 55-60% market share of Philippines. The locals, they correlate these companies of their like their own, and many of the international companies, including that of India, they try to force in the products with their own set of packings without any local feel. And as a result, until unless you don't localize the products as per their market, acceptance of the product is low. You know, uh, as PMT people, sometimes the brand managers, the marketing people, they do not travel to the target markets, and in an effort to be innovative, they try to send the promo LBLs in the target markets, which do not meet the local style. In Philippines market, it is compulsory that if it is a 4-pager leaflet or the two-pager leaflet, the last page has compulsory to have an excerpt of the PIL, patient information leaflet, how the product is prescribed. That's compulsory. But then, in an effort to make it look very innovative, the companies ignore it, and the entire lot of promo material is sometimes wasted until unless it is not pointed. So there are good examples from many companies, that in African market, uh, even in Indian perspective, we see that most of the visolates, many leaf behind leaflets, they have, uh, the faces of Europeans and Americans. We are fond of Westerners, and same type of promo material was sent to Southeast Asian market, African markets, with a complete rejection. The doctor said, why are you sending leaflets with white faces when the community is black and the community and people have a different culture? We don't like white faces on your promo material. And LBLs having Qutub Minar, the Indian good thing being sent in Dubai and UAE markets with a complete reaction. We have to adapt to the local requirement, not to push on the things our way. So these were some examples, of some failures of, why local level of uh, involvement was not there, which resulted in losses in terms of promo material, in terms of failed product launches. The next portion of my presentation is better negotiation skills in international scenario. As Indians, we start getting irritated seeing the slow paced negotiation in the Arab and the African world. It takes months to sign an agreement with these geographies. And on the other side, Westerners, they find it extremely difficult to negotiate with Indians, and they say that Indians never say no, even to the impossible things, and never believe in following the timelines. So we find difficult with many countries, and the other countries find equally difficult to work with Indians because we have a different style of communication and negotiations. So uh, people can take a screenshot of it. We can share it later also. Primarily, the different geographies, in terms of cultural categories, we can divide them in 3 segments: the linear active, multi-active, and the reactive uh, cultures. So Europeans and the Americans come in the linear active category. The Africans, Middle East come in multi-active. Southeast Asians are quite reactive in their approaches, and we Indians are a cusp between multi-active and reactive cultural categories. So I'll just try to compare in a brief way what is linear active. Uh, the Americans and the Europeans, they try to do only one thing at a time, finish it, and then move to the next thing. They plan ahead step by step in their approach. In their communication, they are quite polite and humble, but direct. They don't quote with sugar and then put it across to you. So they are direct in their communication. In event of a conflict, they try to confront with logic. They dislike losing their faces. They are very job oriented and use mainly facts and truth before doing any diplomacy in terms of whenever it is a conflicted situation. And they every time respect official tone, go to the official channels. Maybe if it is even after taking appointments, they like to go through the proper channel only. And they keep a good demarcation between their social and professional lives. On the contrary, the reactive and the multi-active society, you know, we never try to confront. We don't want to lose face. We are very people oriented instead of being a job oriented. we react to the partner's action and try to do too many things at a time. Even during a negotiation, the client is trying to put forward one point, and we are trying to, separate him with different points of views, and they irritate a lot to the foreign clients. Instead of respecting the official dome, the Middle Eastern people, Indians, they try to use connections. The typical Indian jugaad thing. कुछ जुगाड़ ढूंढते हैं पहले. So not respecting the official protocol, we start finding the links to get inside the business, and we always connect the social and the professionalism together. So which irks most of the Westerners. They don't understand why Indians behave in this way. So now I will compare uh, the three cultures, and I try to give in brief, how to negotiate best with the Middle East clients. The one aspect we have to be very clear when doing business in Arab countries, that it is the culture and the religion, they are inseparable. The relationships are taken very strictly, and the people tend to work with people whom they know and trust. So it is a relationship dominant work culture, while the Westerners prefer task oriented more than the relationship orientation. Then it comes to uncertainty avoidance culture. The fact is this: by the sheer history, the Arabic countries have been, quite dynamic, and uncertainties have been there. So they try to avoid such situations by implementing harsh behavioral codes. Laws and rules are very strict, disapproval of unusual opinions, and they believe in absolute truth. So if you don't follow the regulations, you'll be severely penalized. They believe in doing collective decision. So, sometimes the lead negotiator, he will take more time, as he would like to discuss and take a decision when the whole team has agreed to it before coming to an agreement. So you have to have more time in this stage of negotiations. The juniors in the team, they always look forward to get instructions from seniors before they proceed to the next stage. So it is a power distance culture, and you never get a long term forecast from a Middle East client, because they never plan for long terms, always 2 to 3 years time, because it is a uncertainty avoidance culture, always for a short term thing. So they perceive societal change with a suspicion. Polychronic society, the meetings usually will not start with any of the agendas, and they are very much flexible in the time schedules and doing many activities during a time, and ultimately end up extending the deadlines. uh, the local culture is a vasta. It correlates with the Urdu word introduction, which is happening through personal contacts or intermediates. So here the Indian culture is helpful. If you have a high powered contacts or friends in right places, you will sail across the bureaucracy, and the business will run much more smoother. So do not say no directly to a Middle Eastern client. Arabs find it extremely shameful to be seen to lose face in public at any point of time. So you have to be subtle, in disagreement, and sometimes you'll have to rephrase. In order to move forward, I think it may be better to do this instead of saying a direct no to the client. They feel it very bad and offended. The Arabic style, you should not be surprised if you end up in a hard bargain, and Arabic client will say, do it this way or we close the deal. They are known for being hard negotiators, and the place of negotiation is often much slower in the Arab world. So try to be patient and not try to rush your counterparts into a deal. So if you are prepared to sit out and wait, it will be far more rewarding rather than rushing them. This slide is a little heavy, I'm sorry, but it is very important. Uh, the European and German way of communication. A yes means yes, a no means no. And the style is perceived as direct and functional. At work, the facts are more dominant rather than your emotions. When there is a clear question, they expect a clear answer. And if you need a support, it is assumed that you will ask for the support. And asking questions, based on the facts, is generally seen as a positive sign because you have shown your interest. And it's seen as being professional to ask directly, clearly, and in a well structured way. The meeting starts with a precise agenda, punctual, straight to the point discussions, and businesses first. Chit chat, if at all it is required, is done during the breaks or dinners or out of the meeting schedule. But the same culture is never liked by the Indian style because we believe in spreading 56 angles like a chappan bow. Our relationships matter more than the actual work. You know, a pleasant chat until you get to the point is extremely important in Indian meetings. So 10-15 minutes your meeting has started and we are still warming up with all these things, and the poor European guy frowning, what has happened to these people, why are they coming to the point? And we are uh, trying to exaggerate our achievements, which is not at all liked by the European customers. So Indians have no problem showing their emotions. They like to moan and cry and about we have been ripped off by the deal and already have given all the discounts. And the Europeans say that this is a typical Indian drama with each of the company. We end up crying and moaning and tell them we have done everything to help you out. Nothing more can be done. So price negotiations. Germans do not bargain too much, and most likely the German business partner will set up a maximum and minimum limit of tolerance, and they must have calculated this in advance. So if they get a quotation beyond this limit, it is a strict no. And price negotiations are direct and clear without frills, and they are based on data rather than emotional factors. The contrary side of India is how to show a disagreement. The commonest phrase with Indians is no problem. So we often say no problem. This sentence only means that efforts are being made to achieve some positive thing. It is not at all a promise that everything will go smoothly. At the worst, no problem will indicate that there is a huge problem that has not yet openly been discussed. A direct no is rare in India because it is considered rude to give someone a negative answer. And a clever executive would use jargons like, let me think about it, I'll try, let's see. It's a polite form of Indian person saying no. And if you see that it is a silence, even after being asked many times, then it most likely gives an indication of a failed deal. So this is how different cultures perceive each other, and all forms of direct criticism are seen as harsh insults in the Indian perspective. Three bullet points compared to Africans. When we talk about African business, bargaining is also not a part of African culture. They believe in doing business after a small chit chat. For them, uh, they like individual success, but also it's very important for them to have comfortable business environment. Financing the deal is very important in the African perspective rather than selling the product. And some African communities are very talkative. If there is a long period of silence during a conversation, this can be a sign that something is seriously wrong. So, friends, this is my last slide. Before saying a thank you, I would suggest my colleagues and newcomers in international business to put one extra effort to study the partner's negotiation style in order to succeed in business negotiation. And if you are able to adapt to the client's cultural negotiation style, you will have a higher opportunity to achieve your goals. Thank you so much.
Yes. So it was nice. Arpan
thank
is
you.
back. Yes,
Yes,
Arpan.
yes, fabulous presentation, Vishal sir. And the first thing that I would like to say is that global to local, this is something that you had posted a few days back in LinkedIn. It was really wonderful, this global to local. And thank you so much for once again bringing it in front of us. The second line that I found really interesting was that low hanging fruits are not always the best. And you are very right, sir. The low hanging fruits are not always the best, because it is said that the best view always comes after the hardest climb. And that is exactly what we all look forward to. So, sir, my question to you is that when negotiating with a new international client for the first time, what is the most essential preparation that we need to do?
I would say 2 points. Just go one step ahead and try to find the common greeting words in their local language. The Russians would love to listen to a Zdravstvuyte, which is a hello, a form of namaste from India. The Arabic people would love to listen, Assalamu alaikum. Okay, so if you wish, at least them, they feel that yes, this guy is connected to us. Uh, Try to do a small background check. Try to mention about their website, what you liked about their company, or something about a specific individual who is negotiating with you. So then they feel more connected with you, and you gain your acceptance. uh, it is always good, if you are able to go through a flash news of 2 or 3 hours before the previous day and try to correlate with the current events, then definitely it is a plus point. The European clients, at least they feel, yes, this is a serious company which has done the homework correctly, and they are showing a good intent to speak with us. So these small preparations really help a lot to start an effective negotiation or a discussion with the client.
Fabulous, sir. So that KYC becomes very important, that know your customers. And at the same time, KYCL, that is know your customer's language. So these two things come as a major player when we are negotiating with a customer. So I would also like to know one more thing, that what is the thing that you definitely would like to ignore during an international level negotiation or a client meeting?
Arpanji, the fact is that many international communities and Indians, we use lots of non-verbal communication. We start using, symbols like, this. Many cultures, they find it offensive. Uh, Please surf through do a cultural check. In African community, you sign, you give a victory sign, and it is considered as a German sign of a middle finger. So
Really,
avoid using
that can
things.
be so embarrassing.
Absolutely. And I remember it was 1.5 months before. This is a newspaper headline. One of the ministers of Imran Khan in Pakistan, he was negotiating with a Saudi Arabian uh, business head, with legs and with his shoes pointing at his side, and it made a national headline that the Pakistanis are insulting Saudi Arabic people. So these subtle non-verbal communications, try to have in control and try to be neutral. So it can, a good negotiation can end up in a disaster if you use a wrong sign language.
Yeah, absolutely. Gestures are always very misleading, and sometimes they can take the deal away from us.
Absolutely.
So
There
very
was
well said.
also, you can always see there is one picture of Bill Gates standing with his hands in his pocket in his coat, and the other hand he's trying to have a handshake with Angela Merkel. So in European culture, you have to be, you know,
Very common.
accommodating. You just can't put your one hand in your trousers and doing a handshake. So it was considered wrong. So these are small non-verbal communications.
Which is, I think, 90% of actual communication. If you look at communication as a whole, I think more than 70% is non-verbal. The rest is only verbal.
Absolutely, absolutely. So last thing that I would like to know from Vishal sir is that which country people do you think are the best negotiators apart from India?
Best negotiators.
Yes.
As
You
my
have been a
first
very
line was
global
that we
person, so I
find
think you
to
have negotiated with
negotiate
most of the
it
people.
difficult with the Arabics, and
Okay.
the Europeans find it difficult to negotiate with us. So every country has its own style, but best is it lies on to us to
Okay.
move one step forward and try to be accommodative and adapt to their style of negotiation and be prepared accordingly. There is no one country which matches your style.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much, Vishal sir, for this wonderful presentations. And there have been a lot of congratulatory messages and appreciations which are pouring in. So we'll go to them later because now it's time for our third speaker. So before that, I'll hand it over to Satwan Kaur Manku ma'am to give a brief introduction of Deepak sir. So over to you, ma'am.
But it was wonderful, Vishal, to hear you. Yeah? I also want to show one sign for you. It was a
Yes.
wonderful.
Good job. Great team.
Thank you, Arpan, for moderating Vishal, and Rahil. Thank you so much for moderating Ajay. I am seriously feeling so proud. I'm sure Deepak sir must be feeling very proud today to listen to Ajay and Vishal, whom we have seen growing from just joining as a newcomer and to today touching the skies almost with the varied experience, not just in the Indian market, but also in the global market. And they are the shining stars of our Indian people or Indian pharmacy. So thank you so much, Ajay. Thank you so much, Vishal, for your presentation. And we also have Rahil from the India doing very well in the international market. Thank you so much. And I am really very privileged and proud to introduce Mr. Deepak Chakravarti. My emotions with him lies from the time, he has interviewed me the first time when in the Solars way back in 1995. And it is during this period when the rounds of interviews were happening. And I remember having the first round of interview with him. So, and then getting inducted into his team and then getting the learn or the basics and also the techniques of the sales and the marketing as well, because in 97 when I moved into PMT, Deepak sir was also into the he has shifted into the marketing as a marketing head. So I have learned the basics of the marketing from him and Dr. Tarun Gupta. So I've been privileged, and that's the reason today is a very special day for me, where we have our Solar Speed team, Ajay and Vishal also with us, who have got the pearls of wisdom from Deepak sir and many more. As he said, he's a renowned trainer across the pharma industry with the good companies. So I go to his introduction. He is the National Sales Training Manager, Pediatric Nutrition with Abbott, consultant trainer, coach. Yes, that's the very right word. He's the coach and even the mentor to some of us today. Abbott India. He has the trainer and accommodation with over 40 years of experience in the pharmaceuticals and allied industries. And his training ranges in the brand management, behavioral sciences, psychometrics, coaching, and learning and developmental competencies. He has trained, as he has given his, a brief introduction in the earlier, he has trained over 500 participants in Abbott in over 20 locations across the globe, the managerial skills as well as the what you call the nutritional skills. And he is also was associated with the Narsimunji in the management studies, the Narsimunji Institute of Management Studies. And he has over 45 years, I believe this 45 years in the pharma industries. We have also seen the sir now for almost 20 years. We have been associated and seeing the role from the sales, marketing, and to be a coach and a mentor today to many people. So I'm very privileged to have LPC is privileged to have Deepak sir on this forum and listen to him today. So he will be taking us to the slides on the leadership and learn new things from him today. So over to you, Deepak sir.
Thank you very much, Satwant. And am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible. You can share
Okay.
your screen, sir.
Okay.
And the one biggest quality which I did not mention about Deepak sir is his vocabulary, English vocabulary is just superb. And he coins the word in a manner which really conveys deep meaning into the situation where whatever the challenges we are facing. So that's the one thing which I am looking forward to learn something new today from him.
Thank you very much. Leadership is a huge gamut of learning, and it's a very wide term. So I'm sure throughout your careers, as you have emerged as to be very good leaders, you have seen an entire screen of competencies, whole bunch of competencies which good leaders exhibit. Or sometimes you have seen those behaviors which poor leaders also exhibit. So leadership is really a very complicated this thing. However, I remember when you work with Tarun Gupta, a person like him, you learn to simplify things to a great extent.
Correct.
He was the master of simplicity. I remember we would write 10 lines for a story, and he would say, if you can bring that down to one line, I will accept it. Otherwise, I'm sorry, I won't. So that was the harshness to which we were subjected when we had to write our stories, or write our detailing messages, or write our brand communications. So leadership that way is quite a complicated set of competencies. You have heard words like charisma, I'm sure, Vishal, Satwant. Now, charisma is something which is a very illusionary thing. But good leaders exhibit a lot of charisma at times, and people are drawn. Leadership is something which I feel is two models. One, a mule or an animal being led with the rope from the nose, being dragged across. And another visual of leadership is a person who's walking in front and is followed by a lot of followers who are behind him, following him. And there is no rope pulling them, but there is that urge to follow a leader. So those are two models of leadership which somehow come to mind when I talk about leadership. However, to condense various things together, there are 8 key practices which good leaders exhibit, or which good leaders practice when they, when they practice leadership in their enterprises, in their organizations, with their people, in the community, and so many other areas. So let's look at each one very, very briefly. It's not comprehensive, it is not a total picture, but yet it gives you some key insights into what makes a successful leader. And please feel free to come to add on, or to please infuse your learnings also, because one man cannot give you this entire learning of leadership in a few minutes, but let me try. So what about the instances? What are the practices? So number one is what needs to be done. There is a nice Hindi couplet which says, "Hum kahan hain aur kahan ja rahe hain?" Where are we and where are we planning to go? So what needs to be done is extremely important for the leader to be identified. Now, when you know what must be done, identify the task that you are best at. I mean, if you're good with marketing, keep your key task. Don't get into supply chain. Hire somebody else for supply chain who's very good at it, but identify the right task. Concentrate on one task at a time, which is very important. Of course, nowadays the concept of multitasking is there, But when you identify what needs to be done, then that one task must be done diligently, right? Now, the example here is Jack Welch taking over the GE business. Now, one of the ideas which Jack Welch had is expand GE's reach across domains, across countries, across global perspectives. But then he said that is that what needs to be done? GE was looking after multiple businesses. So what he identified was which are the one or the two areas or two businesses which I am the best at in that particular industry. If it is printing, GE should be number one and number two. If it is software, it should be number one or number two. All the other businesses I shall give up. So that is what needed to be done. And that's what propelled GE to be a great leader in its own space. So what needs to be done is a critical question which leaders ask and answer. Now, once again, another important thing is, yeah.
So your slides are not moving, sir.
No.
We are not able to, yeah, we are only seeing the first slide. So if you can put it on the share screen, like, you know, on that whole screen.
Screen sharing, it says here.
Yes, sir, but your screens are not moving, sir.
Sir, if you can stop your screen share and start the screen share once again, then it will
Okay,
help.
okay, let me do that. Right.
Yeah, sir, I have stopped your screen sharing. Yeah. Okay, perfect, sir. You can continue.
Can you see this? What needs to be done?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Satwan. So I think this was number one. What's right for the enterprise? Are you seeing the second slide? Can you see the second slide?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can.
Okay. Okay. Now, what's right for the enterprise means what is good for the organization. Very simple. Good leaders are known to identify what's right for the organization. So don't think about too much about what the owners or the investors or the employers or the customers are going to think about it. It's important to take everybody along, but sometimes that may not be possible. You know, decisions that are right for the enterprise are ultimately right for all stakeholders. So asking what is right for the enterprise does not guarantee sometimes that the right decisions would be taken. Even the most brilliant executives is human and prone to mistakes and prejudices. But failure to ask the question virtually guarantees the wrong decision. You know, I will take solace. You remember Satwant and all the others will also, those of us Solasites. The morning call, the early morning call. You remember Satwant? What a big challenge it was. And what people, are you able to listen to me, Satwant?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. And you recall how many objections there were to early morning calls? Especially in Mumbai.
Many.
At every meeting, there used to be people in tears, you know, literally. So many of us then told us that please stop this early morning call. But one thing which the leader had in his mind was how can we differentiate ourselves from the hundreds of other medical representatives who visit. So what is that one time slot where he's a little free, where his mind is a little decluttered, where we can push in our messages. So in spite of tremendous opposition, and I remember there was very strong opposition to early morning calls. In many places, sometimes the local unions also get out our people and said, what is this early morning call that you are doing? You know, so, but that was right for the enterprise. For Solus, that we wanted to create a differentiation. We wanted to tell people that, you know, we are not run-of-the-mill pharma company. We are different. We will come across as different. So our branding, our early morning calls, our campaign at site, the way we operated, everything was good. So what's right for the enterprise is very important.
Okay. In fact, it helped us to still establish ourselves. We are known in the industry for the Solus timing still.
Absolutely. That was one extremely distinguishing feature.
Absolutely.
Okay, now how do I move to the new slide?
Sir, you press the page down or page down the scroll button.
Screen 2, okay.
Scroll down button, sir.
Sir, just click by mouse once on your screen. It will change, sir. Yeah, click again, sir, on the PPT, sir, not in the Zoom application.
Yes, got it.
Of course, as leaders, action is a very important aspect of your entire repertoire of skills. Now, develop action plans that specify the desired results and the constraints. So there are constraints, and then there are the desired results which action must take care of. You must be careful to see that the action is legal and compatible with the company's mission, values, and policies. So good leaders tend to look at mission, values, and policies very clearly, and whatever action they take are in consonance or in line with their policies. Check-in points are important and implications of how you will spend your time. And whenever there is a new opportunity, leaders are quick to hone on to those opportunities and take advantage of that. So revision of those plans sometimes can also take place. So an action plan is not written in stone. That is what I meant to say. I mean, good leaders are versatile and they are adaptable to change whenever the opportunity occurs. Of course, very commonly said that good leaders stand up for their decisions. You know, they ensure that each decision specifies who is accountable for carrying it out, when it must be implemented, who will be affected by it, and who must be informed. These are some variables which decision making goes hand in hand with. So good leaders generally tend to keep these specifics in mind. Regularly review decisions, especially of hires and promotions. I have learned this from, of course, the great Mr. Tarun Gupta. And he would say that hiring and promotion are two life and death situations for an organization. I remember long ago he said this. And down the line, whenever I have had the occasion or the opportunity to look at hires or promotions, those words have rung in my ears. You know, had we not got the right people in Solars or in other organizations where I have worked and staffed, maybe the company would not have progressed to that. So hiring and promotions, there is a nice principle called Peter Principle. I'm sure all of us are aware of that. If not, it says that when you promote somebody, you are promoting him into an area of no knowledge. For example, a medical rep knows his job as a medical rep. He knows how to meet doctors, he knows how to sample, he knows how to go from territory to territory, coverage, all these things. But when he gets into a managerial role, he knows zilch. Nothing. So therefore, hiring and promotion are two extremely critical areas. When you promote him, I remember Mr. Gupta used to say, support him completely. Don't keep anything back. Give him the full support of the organization because he needs to learn. That's his area of ignorance. So this enables you to correct poor decisions before doing real damage. So decision making, of course, has been a very, very a key determinant of good leadership. Communication, I don't think anything much need to be said because communicating. Remember one principle, Satwat, which TG used to say very well and very frequently, is keep your
communication channels open. And
number
communicate a lot with the people and their families too.
Absolutely. You remember we went to talk to the parents of the people
parents,
who
yes.
we were hiring?
Correct. We are gone to their home, convince their parents or explain them the role and responsibilities and the support they need to give to the child, the prospects for in the role.
And absolutely. And when we brought them to the station to take them to Delhi, you remember many parents were there at the station. To
Yeah,
see them.
and today you won't believe we are still like it has become like a family. We are still so connected, and
Absolutely.
they do remember us now also.
Those were, experiences which were life defining to a great extent.
Absolutely, sir.
Yeah. So communication, another important thing which he always would say is keep the enterprise lean. Don't add too many layers, because the more layers you add, the more garbled communication becomes.
Correct.
So that is why communicating is very important, and getting your inputs from your superiors, subordinates, and peers into your action plan. That's why at one time I remember we said Solus was a listening company.
Yes.
So
That was the logo given, like, the tagline given is the listening company.
I know somehow memories are now flooding in to my mind for all those great messages that we had. And a listening company listens to its community, listens to the customer, listens to its peers, superiors, and everybody.
True. Very true.
So pay equal attention to peers and superiors' information needs. Yes, Arpan.
Yeah, even in fact, it was so easier for us to even knock the door and speak to Sir Tarun Gupta sir anytime, and even in the meeting, he was very keen in listening to the MDE, what is he has to say, along with all the team members.
Very
so there was no barriers between us.
I think, I don't know, the new generation may not know much about Tarun Gupta, but what the older generation or our generation, or maybe even later down on, what we know is that he was a champion of the medical rep.
Correct.
The medical rep to Tarun Gupta was the ultimate. He would not pay great value to area managers or to regional managers. He would say, if my medical rep says this, that is correct.
Correct.
He would verify that from the medical rep. Tell me what you have to say. Tell me what you feel is wrong with this strategy. Do you think it will work? He would communicate with them clearly, because he says those are the guys who are going to implement. So a good leader knows the implementation strengths of his people.
True.
He knows who are going to implement. He knows who are going to be a little lackadaisical in their approach. So pay equal attention to peers. Peers are somebody of your equal. Sometimes peers give you great insights. Superiors, of course, always have a different perspective, and they can add to your perspectives. So responsibility for communicating. Communicating, of course, is the heart of leadership. A good leader communicates brilliantly and communicates strongly, and you don't have to read between the lines of a good leader. He is very clear in what he says. Okay, this is very important. Focus on opportunities, not on problems. Because again, I remember Tarun Gupta saying that you cannot build on weaknesses. You have to build on strengths. So you get results by exploiting opportunities, not solving problems. If you keep a simple line like this, a straight line, you have, your problems here, and you have opportunities on top of that. I don't know whether you can see my hand.
Yes, we can see that, sir.
Okay, now when you solve opportunities, solve problems, you only bring things back to normal. That's your normal. It's only when you exploit opportunities that you get outstanding results. So that is why it is more important to, exploit opportunities and to resurface and to bounce back from problems. And that's where the real growth or the real vibrancy of an organization is seen. Of course, identify changes inside and outside the organization, new technologies, product innovations, new market structures. Now, I'll give you an example of Abbott. Pediasure was a product which was for pediatricians. Now, what happened was the old supply chain was wholesaler, central warehouse, wholesaler, wholesaler, retailer, retailer, customer. Yeah. Now what happened was Rehan Khan, a visionary, absolute visionary, he said, where does a mother go for shopping?
Mm.
So we said, well, why? It is the medicine, she will go to a chemist. He says, but a mother also goes to a store, to a mom and dad store, to a mall. She also goes to a kirana merchant. Now, if she needs Pediasure, if the doctor has prescribed Pediasure, will she look for a chemist where Pediasure is available? Or can she go to a kirana store and find Pediasure there and buy it? So you see how market structures, how he changed the entire paradigm of. So we had a tough time stopping our wholesalers and appointing those wholesalers which were looking after Hindustan Lever, Nestle, and all the other FMCG products. So you see how the reach of Pediasure increased multifold. I mean, it was a miracle, minor miracle, when our trade team launched Pediasure across formats. So market structures or identifying market structures, this was a problem for us. We knew that with the traditional line of wholesaler chemist, Pediasure would not go the distance. But when we took it to kirana merchant, when we took it to the malls, when we took it to the super malls, the hyper malls, where we displayed it in windows, we displayed it in kiosks, everywhere, Pediasure went from a small unknown brand to become the market leader in the segment and took on giants like Nestle, which were entrenched in the market for such a long time. Raptor bread, which were so well into the market. See, another area where, again, Abbott, I give the example of Abbott, is, we had an infant formula called Similac. Now, infant formulas are only given when the mother is breastfeeding, as she has a challenge to breastfeed. So the supplement is given. Now, when a child is born, who handles the child first? The gynecologist. As soon as the child is born, the gynecologist hands it over to the pediatrician. Now, when the pediatrician sees that there is a challenge in breastfeeding, he tells the nurse, give the child a formula. So the nurse is not being looked at after by any organization.
Mm-hmm.
So what did Abbott do? Abbott very cleverly said, let's design a program for nurses where we can tell them the benefits of Similac vis-a-vis all the other products. Now, no company goes and meets nurses, but the Abbott people went and met nurses. They organized special meetings for them, special training programs for them. So the nurses, who were the first contact between a child and a formula, became so important, and Similac broke all bounds. So to exploit the change, the change to benefit the enterprise. These are small examples where how the product, changed the profile of the organization completely. And of course, the last line is very important: match your best people with the best opportunities. Of course, ensuring company-wide accountability is important. Articulate each meeting's purpose, like making an announcement, delivering a report. I remember Abbott town hall meetings. Whenever little successes were seen in the field, Rehan would immediately call a small town hall meeting. A town hall was whoever was available in the head office. So 10, 15 people crowding into a small room, and Rehan standing in the front and delivering what is happening to the business. How the trade team has succeeded, how the prescription team has succeeded, how the Similac formulation has succeeded, how we are moving from international brands. We are coming in. We used to export everything used to come from the US, from Portugal, from Spain. Then we set up Jagadia as a plant in Gujarat. And all the product, because it used to take 3 months by ship to come from these places. So there used to be a gap in supply. As soon as Jagadia started producing, there was no end to the exponential rise of all our formulations. So call the meetings, discuss what is supposed to be in the meeting, done in the meeting, close the meeting. Don't let meetings go on and on and on, as is generally the practice. Of course, think and say we, not I. Don't go into I. I's all the time are, again, not something which good leaders do. Super leaders or very good leaders or very empathetic leaders generally give the team more credit than themselves. They always, the Japanese again are great business leaders. I'll give you this small example. Japanese have 3 types of leadership. When you have a small team, the Japanese leader leads from the front. He takes the team from the front. Because a small group, 4 or 5 people, he gives examples, sets examples, gives the communication. He's leading from the front by example. When the team becomes a little bigger, the Japanese leader stands in the middle. He's the spoke. He's the fulcrum of the spoke. So all the communications are going out to each member as part of the spoke. So everybody is well informed. He's at the center. And the third is the most interesting. When the enterprise becomes huge, gigantic, a mammoth, such leaders only stand at the back and applaud. Brilliant type of leadership.
Absolutely.
You see, 3 different types of leadership, but yet each intrinsic to the team that they have. And that's the reason for the success of the Japanese leadership. So don't think or say I, think, say we. Listen first, speak last. Good leaders always follow this dictum. Last night, a very interesting thing happened. Satwant and I were talking to each other. And I said, I told her something about emotional intelligence. I said, leaders, generally follow Daniel Goleman's, emotional leadership. I'm sure emotional quotient. Some of you have heard about that, competencies. It's like self-awareness, empathy. These are emotional competencies. She told me, sir, people have moved ahead of this. I said, tell me. She says there's something which, Satwan, what was it that you said? Which one? What?
Adversity questions, AQ.
Absolutely.
AQ,
So
physical questions, social questions, spiritual questions. They have more, and these are the questions now which are being spoken of, and is worthwhile to be implemented in the team, because this will help development of the team better.
See, there is something called IQ. We all know. Intelligence quotient. There's something called EQ, which is emotional quotient.
Correct.
Okay. I remember I coined a phrase that IQ plus EQ is equal to SQ, which is success quotient. Correct. Now, Satwant last night added another aspect to it, and she said that this is called
adversity
quotient. Now, brilliant. You know what? Why I say this? Adversity quotient is such an important part of a manager's.
Absolutely, sir. It is very important.
What is adversity quotient? Adversity quotient is the ability of a leader to look at failure, analyze failure, bounce back, resilient outlook, and turn the organization around. See, what we did in Solus was not an easy thing. We would call on doctors in the morning, and many doctors would throw us out. Sob stories everywhere we heard. The doctor insulted us, the doctor didn't open the door, the doctor's wife shouted at us. This was so much of, resistance and rejection which our people faced. But at every meeting, Tarun Gupta used to say, talk to your people. If somebody has faced rejection, support that person. Bolster his courage. Next time you go with your MDE, first you are the person who should go ahead and knock on the door and ring the bell.
Yes.
Don't let the MDE do it.
Correct.
Brilliant. I mean, le- leaders think like that. They always are much ahead of you. Their vision is something which, of course, are hallmarks of a good leader. I remember in Nagpur when we were working with our with my MD. She was a lady, and we went to a doctor's house early in the morning, big bungalow, and outside the doctor's house there's written "Dogs beware." So this lady says, "Sir, अब मैं तो नहीं जाके खोलूँ." वो इतना बड़ा कुत्ता वहां पर सामने खड़ा हुआ है, खा जाएगा सर हम। मैंने कहा यार अच्छा तो क्या करें, तो चलें वापस? कहती हाँ चलो सर, मैं नहीं जाऊंगी वहां पे, इतना बड़ा डॉग है सर, आई कैन नॉट टेक ऑन दैट डॉग। I said, I'm not asking you to take on the dog. Now, I am a dog owner, so I know a little bit about dogs, about canine behavior. So I said, okay, let's try one thing. If it works, fine. Otherwise, we'll go back. So I went, and in the morning, dogs are wanting to be let out because they have to go and do their nature's calls. So what I did was, with my heart in my mouth, I went across and I opened the gate. And I just opened the gate a little bit, and immediately that huge guy looked at me very gratefully and ran out. I said, "Chal, beta, ab andar ghus." We went inside, we locked the gate behind us, and then we went to the doctor. The doctor says, my dog didn't scare you?" I said, "Sir, we let the dog do what he likes to do best." So he
Who
says,
let the dogs out?
who let the dog out? So, adversity quotient is extremely important in a good leader's makeup, mental makeup. And that is one point which Satwan added. And if you look a little bit into adversity quotient, the author is Paul G. Stoltz. He's written a book on turning obstacles into opportunities. And that is how adversity quotient is important. So I have taken up a little time. I'm sorry. I apologize. I hope you have been able to keep up and understand and appreciate a few things. If not, please give me absolute brutal feedback.
Thank you, sir, so much for the interesting session and taking us through. In fact, we are getting so many responses at the Facebook. Our Solus people and the other team members who have joined us, they're appreciating your presentation, and they are saying like it's nice to listen to sir's voice after a long time, and also the insights that he's sharing. Of course, there are a few questions that has been posed. We will take it up a little later. And I have one question pertaining to your presentation, sir. Like, you have taken us, please, sir, please, sir. You have taken us to the 8 stages of the, 8 steps, important factors, points of the leadership. So what do you think are the important factors for effective leaders and why?
Okay, one of the important things out of these 8 things, see, these are thoughts of Peter Drucker. I'm sure all of you heard of Peter Drucker.
Yes.
Peter Drucker is one of the gurus of modern marketing. I mean, he was the teacher at Harvard, and he's a leader in the thought process of modern management. So knowing where to go, is very important. I feel that in an organization, what we want to achieve, where am I today, where do I want to go? These are, this I think is an important factor. Of course, opportunities, yes, focus on opportunities rather than problems. I think if we are bogged down by problems, the opportunities escape us. Communication, yes, very important. So communication, taking care of opportunities, not getting bogged down by obstacles, and constantly reinventing us. That's very important.
Very true. So very true. And that's how that a good example you gave about the problems and opportunity, how to solve the problem and where do you go after solving the problem and exploiting the opportunities. So according to you, what is better, to focus on opportunities or rather than being only a problem solver?
I think it's very obvious that when you solve a problem, you only come back to normal. It's only when you take care of the opportunities or exploit the opportunities that you go beyond and get exponential results.
True. So I think, sir, an effective leader, if I feel going through your whole presentation, and we have been listening to various other speakers also on this forum. So there is nothing as a hard pass, like, one particular method needs to be adopted. It
No,
has
no.
to be the leader needs to be, a leader needs to adopt many roles and many methods while solving and leading the team. And a very good example you gave about the Japanese, the method of how to lead the small teams, the middle level team, and the middle sized team, and the big team. So I think as a role, the leader in the organization, so he takes up all the three roles. When he deals with a small team, he leads from the front. When he is with a middle sized team, when he is operating, so he takes up the second method of the role in the being in the center of the fulcrum, and then giving the directions. And he's approachable from all the directions. And when the team is big, of course, the others lead, and then he's more visionary and
If you look at Narayan Murthy's and Azim Premji's and all these people, they have given up their roles in the organization. They just stand back and applaud. They just stand back and cheer the organization on. Come on, you can do good, very good, excellent. They just applaud and appreciate. They don't put their noses and their efforts into the management. That is done and gone and done with.
Correct, sir. So we have a good response coming. I'm going to that Facebook thing. Mr. Bhaskar Chakravarti, he said, "Hi Deepak, I enjoyed listening to you. You speak like a La Martinian." And that's a compliment he has said. Amitesh Mishra is giving good review. Babu Srivatsan, he is also appreciating. Then Prashant Menon had posed a question. I don't know how to go there, but he has posed one question. How do I come to that particular point? He wanted to ask, maybe a little later we may ask. And thank you so much, sir, for a wonderful presentation and taking us through. And it was a pleasure listening to you and your session after ages. I think it's almost after 2 decades, probably we are listening to you. And it was a wonderful presentation. And it was really a good presentation by Ajay Singh, giving a direction. I'll tell you this audience, we would be joined by many students from the Narsimunji also, because we have given them the link, and your session will definitely guide them on how to go about joining the international market. And of course the current people who are keen to join the global market and how to make an entry and all that. Vishal's presentation was absolutely eye-opener with the silly mistakes that we as a marketeer or as a company we do it. So I think, sir, today's whole presentation was a complete what you call it as a package of entering and how to go about, and the leadership qualities, what we need to, and what are the factors important for an effective leader. Thank you so much.
Just one word to Vishal. Vishal, I was rolling out our coaching competencies and our programs in Philippines. So I was in Manila. So it was a cross-cultural team. So after the meetings were over, we went to shopping. So there was this cosmetics counter, and my wife had told me that when you come back, you better bring something. Otherwise, don't come back home. You can stay in Philippines if you want. So anyway, I was shopping around. With me was a European manager and the local Philippines manager. So we were walking, and I picked up one perfume and I tried to smell it a little bit, and I said, "Yes, this sounds good. This smells good. I think." So the Philippine manager walked up to me and he said, "Sir, don't buy that." I said, "But why?" He says, "See, sorry if I'm a little insensitive." He says, "The prostitutes use it here in Manila." See, cross-cultural. Once again, these things are so important. He says, "Please don't buy this. This is not used for the purpose that you're taking it. You're taking it for your wife. Please go to this counter, pick up this perfume. This will be a better choice." So,
yes, sir, we have. Yes, I could get it. The question raised by Prashant Menon He said, any difference in written and verbal confirmation styles in global scenarios? I think this question is posed to Vishal, I believe.
Yeah,
Because that
thank you,
was much
Prashant sir,
earlier.
for the question. Yes, a verbal confirmation in a meeting means a lot. When it comes from a European or a Arabic counterpart, even if they give a verbal communication, it's golden, word for the downstream team. And compared to, again, I'm trying to compare it with the Indian scenario. And at our end, we expect deal is signed only when a written agreement is in our hands. So this is really a difference. Words carry lots of meaning in international scenario, but when back home in India, we expect everything in written before we attain clarity. So unless the written document is not in our hands, we're always suspicious that they will change their terms and conditions during the negotiation. But unfortunately, no. The words of a senior team leader during a meeting, they are considered as a deadline, and after that, no negotiations happen in the national scenario.
Thank you, Vishal, for the answer. So we are joined in the live audience by Sailesh Kapadia from Canada. We also have Armendra Kumar, Prashant Menon. Our Solus guys are around. Amitesh Mishra, Manoj Kumar Jaiswal. They are appreciating Vishal, Ajay, and Deepak sir. Prashant Menon is there. Then Babu Srivastan, Manish Kiravar. Bhaskar Chakravarti sir, I've already said. Santosh Nair is there, and he says, like, it's enjoying listening to Deepak sir after a long time. There is one question which Prashant is posed, sir. It's directed to you, Deepak sir.
Yeah.
He wants to know, what's your mantra to address today's reality of low tolerance and high impatience level seen across some leaders? A very interesting question, Prashant. Thank you so much for asking a question. I hope the audience will benefit a lot from the answer Deepak sir will give. Venkatesh Babu is also there on the line.
Okay. To answer that question,
yes,
there's something called grade 5 leadership.
Right.
Now, this again is a book written by Jim Collins. He's talked about different grades: grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4, and grade 5 leaders. Now, grade 5 leaders are, you will not believe the words he has used. He says, are the most humble. They are shy. They are reticent. They avoid crowds, but they are very firm in when they have to take action. Whereas grade 4 leaders or grade 3 leaders are more volatile. They are more exuberant. They are sometimes more verbose. They are sometimes more aggressive. He says, as the leadership continuum goes up and up and up towards higher capabilities, the person becomes more and more humble. The person becomes more and more shy. The person becomes less wanting to become very, very, you will find immature leaders trying to become highly visible. But you will find that good top leaders or very top leaders have a very low profile. They keep a very low profile. This happened in Abbott. I'll just give you an example. Rehan Khan was a total charismatic leader. When he stood there, people just opened their mouths and listened to him. He was that charismatic. Of course, he proved that he was one of the best. But after him came another gentleman called Amal Kelshikar. Read about Amal Kelshikar. Totally different. Devoid of any of the charisma. Devoid of any great showmanship. Devoid of any extraneous, gestures or things like that. Very low key, very humble, very quiet, but led the company brilliantly after Rehan. One thought that after Rehan, Abbott Nutrition will sort of come down because of that brand of leadership which Rehan had. But Amal Kelshikar saw Abbott Nutrition through a very different phase. When foreign companies invest in India, the first few years they give you a lot of money. Here, spend. Rehan was in that phase. He got money to spend. When Amal Kelshikar came, the company said, now we want returns. So different brand of leadership altogether. So
Absolutely.
I hope, I don't know whether I've been able to answer that question properly or not, but there are different types of leadership, and grade 5 leadership is considered to be the most brilliant. They are shy, they are timid, they are soft spoken, they are reticent, but their results are brilliant. Once they take a stand, they do not go back. They will fight any opposition to see their ideas.
In fact, like, everybody has their own personality. Everybody has their own style of dealing with the people, and what is the overall responsibility they are carrying over their shoulders. So the point what he wanted to ask is, what is your mantra for today's reality of low tolerance and high impatience level? But I think, as you said, as a person grows from the grades, the tolerance and the impatience and the style changes. So I think, Prashant, it depends upon what and what grade that leadership is assuming its role at.
It's again those three types of teams. If you're in a
Yeah.
small team, maybe you can be a little
Maybe.
aggressive.
Yes.
Maybe you can be a little demonstrative. But when you are in big teams and large organizations, you need to change your leadership style.
True. Thank you so much, sir. And Facebook we are getting good comments, and everyone is appreciating this session. Nasiruddin Shishti is there. He is a regular viewer of our LPC. Venkatesh Babu and everyone, like, the Solars and the whole team who have been associated with Deepak sir, Vishal, Ajay, they are all appreciating the presentation and LPC. Thank you so much for coming, sir. Thank you, Deepak sir, for coming to this program at the very short notice. And it was real. It's a real proud moment to listen to Ajay and Vishal, whom
And
we have seen grow.
Arpan, of course, is the great storyteller.
Arpan is a storyteller. I'm a big fan. And Rahil, thank you so much for the support and the insights that you have given during your moderation. Over to you, Arpan.
Yeah, thank you so much, Satwant ma'am, for the kind words that you spent on me. Yes, indeed. It was a really interesting and engaging session by such wonderful speakers that we have had today on LPC. I'm sure our audiences have gained a lot of insight, a lot of learnings from their deliberations. Well, as customary, I generally narrate a small story which comes out with a moral. So today it's like the comfort zone. So there was a sultan in Middle East who presented an Indian king with two fighter falcons. So they were two fighter birds, and the king in India prized those falcons very much and hired a trainer for those two falcons. Now, one of the falcons was a very high flyer. The moment it used to be put on the branch, it used to fly high and hunt other birds. But the second falcon was very lazy. It never used to get off from the branch. Well, the king was very worried. Why is the second falcon not flying? The king consulted all the ministers and everybody, but none of them could basically provide a solution. Now, one day, a man from the forest, a hunter from the forest came and told the king that probably I have the solution that you are looking for. So the king said, well, so many people have tried out many things, but hardly have offered a solution. So you can always try out. So this forest hunter came with an axe and just chopped off the branch where the bird was, or the falcon was sitting. The moment the branch was chopped off, yes, the falcon started flying. And it was flying really high. And that is exactly what happens to many of us. We often get stuck in our comfort zone and do not have the confidence to take the leap of faith. And in fact, I was also stuck for a long time in this comfort zone. And it takes a lot of confidence, a lot of hard work, and a lot of belief to come out of that comfort zone and step into the effort zone, because between the two zones, there is a valley of doubt. And that valley of doubt is something we all think that we probably don't have the safety net that we can fall back on if we miss. So friends, when we are coming out of the comfort zone to step in the effort zone, we need just one thing, that is belief in our abilities and the confidence that we are all going to succeed. And that is something that is going to take us to the next level. And indeed, the speakers who have been so instrumental in their career journeys have indeed taken that step in the valley of doubt, and they have come out successful and as a winner. And that is what they presented to us today with their learnings that they shared with our audiences on LPC. So thank you so much for being with us on this journey. But once again, a reminder to all our audience that on 20th of March 2022, LPC is going to have the 100 session conclave at Mumbai. So once again, a request to all the companies, the corporates, the sponsors, to be very, very lenient as far as opening your purse strings are concerned, because we need a lot of funding to make this event a grand success. To please do come up with the sponsorship so that we can do this event in a great manner. So thank you so much to our speakers, Deepak Sir, Vishal Sir and Ajay Sir, for sharing their learnings on our platform and making this so engaging. Thank you so much, Satwant ma'am. Thank you so much, Rahil Sir, for being my co-moderators and have given such a lot of value to the deliberations of our speakers. One small request to all of you, COVID is not yet over. So please maintain the 3 SMS of mask, social distancing and sanitization so that we can win over the COVID pandemic. So thank you so much for being with us. This is Arpan Kumar Paul, thanking all of you and saying goodbye with a promise of once again connecting back with you next Sunday with a new set of speakers, new set of thoughts and a new set of learnings. So till then, it is goodbye from all of us.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, Ajay.
Great catching
Thank
you.
you, Vishal. Thank you, all audience. Thank you, Rahil.
Rahil, thanks a lot. Very kind of you. Arpan, a great thank you to you also.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Arpan is a true storyteller.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Great. Bye. Bye, guys.
Bye.